You're watching Gossip Canon, where we break down the biggest stories in entertainment. Subscribe and hit the bell so you're always up to date. What if I told you? Katy Perry's entire world is falling apart, and Orlando Bloom just walked away from the wreckage. From a brutal album flop to a tour that's been roasted across the internet. From emotional breakdowns to cryptic comments about breakups on stage. And now, multiple sources say her longtime fiancé Orlando Bloom is officially done. After nearly a decade together and a child between them, it looks like Katy's dream romance has quietly hit rock bottom. But how did things get this bad? And why does it feel like no one saw it coming? This isn't just another Hollywood breakup. It's the unraveling of one of pop culture's most high-profile couples, right in the middle of a career crisis, emotional burnout, and a fan base turning on her fast. Let's get into it, because the real story behind Katy Perry's downfall is even messier than it looks. On paper, Katy Perry was supposed to be making a major comeback. A new album, a flashy tour, and a brand built on outer space, glitter, and pop anthems. But in reality, it flopped hard. Critics tore it apart. Clips from the tour started circulating online, and they weren't kind. Katy dressed like a glitching astronaut, doing slow-motion pole dances, stiff choreography, and pretending to float in zero gravity. Fans mocked it relentlessly. Zero gravity, zero talent. Somebody send her back to space. She's giving desperate, not divine, and the internet wasn't exaggerating. Even Katy herself admitted in interviews that the hate got to her. Despite what she tells fans, that she doesn't read the comments, it clearly hurt. She told People magazine that she was trying to tap into her divine feminine energy after becoming a mother, that this album came from a deep personal place. But fans couldn't understand how she was preaching empowerment while still working with Dr. Luke, the same controversial producer accused of harming women, including Kesha. The backlash only got louder, and behind the scenes, it started taking a toll on everything, including her relationship. Sources say Katy was devastated by the tour reviews, and for all the chaos on stage, the real meltdown was happening in private. While Katy was trying to hold it together under the spotlight, Orlando Bloom was slipping quietly into the background. At first, he tried to be supportive. He defended her when people mocked her spaceflight stunt, even standing by her during some of the most bizarre career choices she's ever made. But eventually, even he had enough. According to multiple sources, Orlando has checked out. He's been spending more time alone, spotted down in Miami, far from the California mansion they once shared. Some say he's even considering a permanent move to Florida. One insider claimed, "They're waiting until the tour ends before going public, but it's over." That's right. They're reportedly planning a quiet split after the final curtain drops in December. And honestly, it tracks. Orlando hasn't been by her side at public events. He didn't show up to her tour dates. And when he recently hit the red carpet for his own movie premiere, he walked it solo. No Katy, no ring, no mention of her at all. To make things even more obvious, Katy went on stage in Sydney and introduced one of her songs by saying, "This one's about a breakup." If that's not a message, I don't know what is. The truth is, this didn't come out of nowhere. Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom have had relationship issues for years. They just kept it quiet. Back in 2017, they already broke up once. Katy later admitted that their relationship was rocky from day one. In a recent interview, she said, "We weren't really in it from the start. He had just done a long period of celibacy. I had just come out of another relationship. I needed to swim in a different pond." And even when they got back together, the problems didn't magically disappear. Katy revealed that when they argue, it's hot and fast, like LA weather. "I love you, all right, let's move on." But how many let's move ons can you survive before it breaks you? And here's the part that really raised eyebrows. They had to go to couples therapy. Now, sure, therapy can be healthy, But in this case, it sounded more like a last-ditch effort. Orlando opened up in a separate interview, admitting, "We're in two different pools when it comes to work. Her pool, I don't really understand it, and mine, she doesn't either." That's a brutal thing to admit about your partner, especially someone you've been with for 6 years and share a child with. He even said, "Things get really, really, really challenging." And that wasn't just an offhand comment, that was a pattern of misalignment, distance, and exhaustion. Now fans are starting to wonder, was it ever really going to work? If you've been watching closely, the signs were there. Katy and Orlando didn't need to say anything. Their actions spoke volumes. Let's start with Katy's performances. While on stage in Sydney, she introduced her song "I'm Still Breathing" by saying, "This song is about a breakup," then casually added, "And this Tim Tam saved me." That might sound playful, but for fans who've followed her personal life, it hit different. Especially when paired with the fact that Orlando was nowhere to be found at her shows, or anywhere near her, really. Instead, he popped up solo at the Deep Cover premiere at the 2025 Trika Film Festival. No Katy, no Daisy, no mention of his fiancée at all. And speaking of Daisy, their daughter, insiders say Katy has been touring with her, while Orlando's been spotted solo more and more. It's a quiet drift, but a very visible one. Then came the now infamous on-stage moment, where Katy called out a fan mid-show and joked, "If you keep DMing my man, I'll have you removed." At the time, it came off as a cringy joke, but now, with everything going on behind the scenes, it feels a lot more real. Was she actually feeling threatened? Was the jealousy seeping through the pop star persona? And if you connect the dots, it all leads to the same conclusion. They're done. They just haven't posted the breakup notes yet. For a couple that's been engaged for 6 years, you'd expect a wedding by now. But according to multiple insiders, that day was never coming. Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom got engaged in 2019. They had a daughter, Daisy, and then nothing, no wedding date, no real planning. Just delay after delay. And now, fans are starting to wonder if the wedding was just a smokescreen the whole time. One comment went viral recently. "When I found out Orlando gave Katy the same ring design as his ex, the one he didn't marry, I knew this was going nowhere." Another fan posted, "They weren't saving for a big ceremony. They weren't even rushing because of pregnancy. Their daughter's 4. They just never intended to marry." Meanwhile, sources say Orlando has been quietly pulling away for months. And with Katy on tour and Daisy in tow, it looks like he's choosing to build a separate life, away from the chaos. Insiders even hinted that Daisy is likely being raised mostly by nannies, as Katy juggles a stressful tour and emotional burnout, while Orlando disappears into his own work and private routines. And that's the sad part, because no matter how famous or rich you are, a child growing up between two strained parents still feels that fracture. And yet, for a couple that once looked like Hollywood royalty, they couldn't even make it to the aisle. As the cracks in Katy Perry's life went public, the internet had plenty to say, and not all of it was kind. Some fans have been brutal, dragging everything from her space-themed stage antics to her emotional breakdowns. One tweet read, "I don't even like Katy Perry, but ranking your man third best in bed behind John Mayer and Josh Groban, I would have left too." Another said, "The tour's a joke, the album's weak, she's unraveling and Orlando's bailing. Sad to watch but not surprising." The mockery was relentless. Her astronaut costume, bizarre choreography, and stiff on-stage energy have all been turned into memes. But surprisingly, not everyone's laughing. In fact, a new wave of fans have started expressing something they hadn't before: sympathy. One user posted, "I don't particularly care for Katy Perry, but I can feel this slow, trickling sense of dread. Something's not right." Another commented, "She seems like she's on the edge of a breakdown. You can see it in her face. The smiles don't reach her eyes anymore." And then there's the bigger question. What happens when a superstar hits burnout and no one takes it seriously? Even some of her harshest critics are admitting it. Yes, she's rich. Yes, she's famous. But when your career is crumbling, your partner's gone, and the internet's mocking your every move, that can break anyone. One fan summed it up perfectly. Money doesn't fill the kind of emptiness she's dealing with right now. Katy Perry might be living in a mansion. She might be performing under stadium lights. But beneath the glam and glitter, this has been the worst year of her life. The 6-year engagement, still no wedding. The emotional support, nowhere in sight. And the fans, half are dragging her and half are watching like a car crash they can't look away from. And what's left behind? A woman who once ruled the charts, now trying to hold on to the pieces of a life that no longer fits together. Katy might still be singing, she might still be smiling, but if you look closely, you'll see it. That glow is fading. And unless something changes fast, she won't just be losing her relationship, she'll be losing herself too. Want to keep up with the latest celebrity drama, music meltdowns, and Hollywood unravelings? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because the real stories always live behind the headlines. And that's today's blast from the cannon. What do you think about all the drama? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read everything. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you're first in line for the next celebrity explosion. This is Gossip Cannon signing off, where the truth isn't just spilled, it's detonated.